What if I told you the wealthiest person in history wasn't Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, or John D. Rockefeller? What if I told you his fortune was so massive, so unimaginable, that it's impossible to calculate in today's dollars, and that his generosity once crashed entire economies? This isn't a myth. This isn't an exaggeration. This is the story of Mansa Musa, the 14th century ruler of the Mali Empire, a man whose wealth defied comprehension and whose legacy holds lessons for our world today. But here's the mystery. If he was that rich, why did his empire collapse just a few generations later? Why isn't his name as famous as Caesar, Genghis Khan, or Cleopatra? Today, we're diving into the rise, the reign, and the fall of Mansa Musa, and what his story reveals about wealth, power, and legacy. It's the early 1300s. Europe is clawing its way through the Middle Ages. The Black Death looms on the horizon. Most people are tied to the land, living short, brutal lives under feudal lords. But across the Sahara Desert, a different world thrives. The Mali Empire in West Africa is a powerhouse. It controls some of the richest gold mines in history, mines that produce half the world's known gold supply. Gold is the lifeblood of medieval economies, and Europe is desperate for it. Mali? They've got it in abundance. Mali's trade networks stretch across the Sahara, linking West Africa to North Africa, the Middle East, and beyond. Camel caravans carry gold, salt, and ivory north, bringing back textiles, horses, and knowledge from the Islamic world. This isn't just a kingdom, it's one of the largest empires of its time. And yet, in most history books, Mali barely gets a footnote. But in the 1300s, the name Mali meant power. Its rulers, called Mansa's kings of kings, were legends. And one Mansa was about to become the greatest of them all. Mansa Musa wasn't born to rule. His rise was almost an accident. Around 1312, the reigning emperor, Abu Bakr II, set sail across the Atlantic on a daring expedition to explore unknown lands. He left Musa, his deputy, in charge. When Abu Bakr never returned, Musa became Mansa Musa, emperor of Mali. Suddenly, this man controlled a territory sitting on half the world's gold. Imagine that one person overseeing an empire that could make or break global markets. But Musa wasn't just a lucky heir. He was deeply religious, well-educated, and ambitious. He didn't just want Mali to be rich, he wanted it to be a cultural and intellectual giant, rivaling the great empires of the Islamic world. And he had a plan to prove it: the Hajj, the Islamic pilgrimage to Mecca. In 1324, Musa embarked on his Hajj. But this wasn't just a spiritual journey, it was the most jaw-dropping display of wealth the world had ever seen. Eyewitnesses describe a caravan that defies belief. 60,000 people, including soldiers, servants, and officials. 12,000 slaves, each carrying bars of pure gold. Hundreds of camels loaded with tons of gold dust. As Musa traveled through the Sahara to Cairo and finally Mecca, he spent like no one before or since. He built mosques, gave gold to the poor, and showered rulers with gifts. But here's where it gets wild. In Cairo, Musa gave away so much gold that he triggered inflation. The sudden flood of wealth tanked the value of gold in Egypt for over a decade. Prices skyrocketed. Entire economies wobbled. One man's generosity reshaped a region's economy. Think about that. One person's spending shifted global markets. Sound like anyone we know today? When Musa returned from Mecca, his legend grew. The 1375 Catalan Atlas, a famous medieval map, shows him holding a golden scepter, wearing a golden crown, a symbol of unimaginable wealth. But Musa didn't just flex his riches. He invested in Mali. He built schools, mosques, and libraries, turning Timbuktu into a global hub of learning. Scholars, poets, and architects flocked to Mali from across the Islamic world. For a moment, Mali was unstoppable, a beacon of wealth, culture, and power. But every peak has a fall. Musa's wealth came with hidden costs. His lavish spending abroad devalued gold, but the real problems were at home. Dependence on gold. Mali's economy leaned heavily on one resource. Like modern oil-dependent nations, this made it vulnerable to shifts in trade or demand. Overexpansion. Controlling a vast empire was costly. Armies, governors, and infrastructure drained the treasury. Wealth stretched Mali thin. Succession woes. When Musa died in 1337, his successors lacked his vision. Infighting and weak leadership fractured the empire. Within a century, Mali began to crumble. So, what happened to all that gold? To the empire that held the world's wealth? Trade routes shifted. As Europeans explored maritime routes, the Sahara trade lost its importance. Rivals rose. The Songhai Empire overtook Mali, seizing its power. Internal chaos. Succession disputes and weak rulers eroded Mali's unity. By the 1600s, Mali was a shadow of itself. Timbuktu, once a center of learning, became isolated. Mansa Musa's story faded into obscurity. Musa's successors tried to hold the empire together by mimicking his generosity, spending gold to buy loyalty and impress rivals. But they lacked his charisma and strategy. Gold became a crutch. It couldn't fix succession crises or replace strong leadership. When the gold ran low, the empire collapsed. Money can't buy stability. Mansa Musa's story isn't just ancient history, it's a mirror for today. Countries like Venezuela or Russia, reliant on oil or gas, face the same risks Mali did with gold. A single resource economy is a house of cards. Sudden wealth can destabilize markets, just like Musa's gold flooded Cairo. Economists still study resource booms that cause inflation. Even individuals can move markets today. A single tweet from Elon Musk can swing billions in crypto or stock value. Here's a wild stat. Musa's wealth, adjusted for today, is estimated at over $400 billion. Compare that to Elon Musk's peak of $300 billion, or Jeff Bezos's $200 billion. Musa outshines them all 700 years ago. But his story shows us that wealth, no matter how vast, doesn't guarantee lasting power. Mansa Musa was more than the richest man in history. He was a visionary who built an empire of gold, culture, and knowledge. But his story reminds us that wealth alone isn't enough. Without strategy, leadership, and adaptability, even the greatest empires fall. What do you think? Could Mali have survived with better leadership? Are we repeating the same mistakes today? Drop your thoughts in the comments. If you enjoyed this dive into history, hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell for more stories of empires, legends, and lessons from the past. Until next time, stay curious.